Greetings, hello, welcome on in, Unoptimized Fool here with another weekly episode of the WoW News. Now, before I get into the news, obviously, let's talk about the location we're in, right? We're in a brand new location. We do this little competition. It's friendly, the winner just gets a nice little shout out on the X page. Nothing too crazy, but we're in a new location this week, and guess what, guys? This one should be pretty relevant to you, actually. Wink, wink, right? I don't know how to wink, actually, but last week, I didn't see anyone guess the comments. Actually, someone did guess it inside of YouTube, but on X. Now, again, X was having some trouble with notifications last week and comments, so you could have posted it and it got lost the time. So if you did post it, my bad. Let me know, though, so I can double check it. But that location was actually right out of Orgrimmar, right next to the giant Coltiran fleet that sunk on the coast without the South Shore Sea Marines that I took there. Obviously, you can see some of that in the distance, and also see the Great Ocean to the right. So that was the location last week. Now, this location is relatively new, so definitely check it out. Again, we have one shot here in the intro of this video and one for the outro, so definitely watch the whole thing so you get more information. And again, with this stuff, make sure you post screenshots, locations, even like the more detail you can give me, the better, right? And the second one, obviously, is the Spotters Guild is actively recruiting still. If you love World of Warcraft and you love retail, we have a presence there, right? The Spotters. Now you can join in. We do raids every Saturday, which we've been clearing normal. I actually was a little bit late and I missed the whole clear, okay? That's how fast we're going. Under 2 hours clear. Again, we're going to be diving into Heroic eventually, as long as we have enough spotters, and as well as we run Mythics basically every other night. And we're looking to obviously expand our operations too inside of retail. And it also, if you play any other ecosystem, and would want the spotters to be represented in that system, definitely let us know. Maybe we can do something, right? Again, the spotters is here for casuals and hardcores. Everyone is invited and definitely welcome in. But I'm going to stop yapping, get this location in, and I'll see you guys in the next article here. Alright guys, the first piece of news I want to talk about isn't really about the game of World of Warcraft, but it has to talk about the universe of World of Warcraft. Now, there is a new book that's coming out that is a prequel to the Midnight expansion. Now, we've had a lot of books that have come out before each expansion. We've had one for The War Within. We've had one for Shadowlands. We've had one for the Battle for Azeroth, right? This is like a prequel. Again, we now have a new book out there called Blood Ties. Now, it's up for pre-order now. You can't get it now, but basically it's going to talk about some prominent figures transitioning from the War Within into Midnight. Now, obviously, all of the stuff inside this book, by the way, is canon. Now, I do suggest you read it. Now, if you're into the lore, you probably already read these books, but for the people who don't read the books and are really into World of Warcraft lore, you definitely want to check it out. Why? Because the events that happen in these books are sometimes not communicated in the game. For example, a big thing that happened was in Battle for Azeroth, there was a meetup between the Horde and the Alliance before the big war in Battle for Azeroth of the undead speaking with their families from Stormwind. It didn't go well. Sylvanas set it up to be a failure, so there was more tension between the Horde and Alliance. But that was never mentioned in the game. It was never mentioned at all, but it was canon. It was a canon event that was one of the major events that led to the increased tensions between the Horde and Alliance during Battle for Azeroth. And it was just one of her ploys to get the Horde and Alliance to fight. So that is information that we lost. Now, a lot of people did give Blizzard a lot of crap for this, rightfully so, because again, major lore events should always be in the game or just mentioned in the game, right? Blizzard said they would get better, and so far so good. But yeah, Blood Ties is going to be another book for the pre-release. Again, check it out. You'll definitely get more in-depth stuff. You can definitely put a lot more in a book than you can in cutscenes and in dialogue and quests. So I just want to let you guys know that book is ready for pre-order. So if you want to check it out and get it, it is about around $30, which is not bad for a book these days. Did you guys know that in 11.1.5 we were promised horrific visions? Now everything is staggered inside the event, right? And guess what? Last Tuesday, guess what we saw? Horrific Visions, right? So technically, when you see this video, we're in the second week of Horrific Visions, and you probably already know about it. Now, just to get you guys updated, Horrific Visions originated from Battle for Azeroth when we were fighting the old corruption of N'Zoth. Now, we're seeing it come back because, again, we're dealing with the Void, which, was heavily influenced in Battle for Azeroth, right? And we're going back into these areas to learn more about the Void again. and plus just more activities for us to do. Now, when it was released, right, again, people were upset about the staggerness of, like, the horrific visions, dastardly duos, the emissary, the greedy emissary, stuff like that. Again, and also the nightfall, right? Everyone was upset about that, but I'm not really that upset. What I'm upset about is what happened afterwards. Horrific Visions came out, and there was a restriction. There was actually two major restrictions, but the other one I'm going to talk about later. But the major restriction that everyone hated was that the cosmetic items, again, you can get tons of cosmetic items, mounts, pets, armor, right, from this event through the currency that you get, which they give it to you pretty liberally, right? When you get this currency, you are not able to unlock any cosmetics until you beat the major quest line of the patch, and unfortunately that's time gated between each week. So each week you can progress the story with Horrific Visions, but you would have to wait at least, I think, 3 to 4 weeks, almost a month. You would have to wait just to unlock some cosmetics. And again, your currency would build up so you could get some stuff, but people were upset. Now, Blizzard just said that they don't like doing time gated content, especially when content's out, but yet they do this. Now, obviously, our grumbling and our griping actually solved something because they took out that restriction same day. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be released with that restriction, but they fixed it really quick. So now you can unlock cosmetics day 1, hour 1, minute 1, and start getting all those things. Now, obviously, you do want to save some of the currency for upgrading your, your official spells inside of the Horrific Visions, like more sanity and less consumption of sanity. But obviously, some of this stuff is like 40,000 currency, and so again, just make sure you don't spend all on cosmetics and then forget to upgrade your stuff. That's super important, because the more you upgrade, the more currency that you get. Now, again, the other stuff I want to talk about a little bit later, but there's another time gate that people are not liking, but that is still around as of the recording of this video. But yeah, Horrific Visions are out. Controversy already occurred. 11.1.5 is seeming to be the most controversial and impactful and kind of stressed type of content patch so far in 11.1. I mean, just in 11.1 in general, right? So definitely check out Horrific Visions. Cosmetics are now unlocked, and we'll talk about more restrictions here later. All right, guys, the Emerald Inferno pack is now here. Now, I recently said in the last couple episodes that every time we have this major cosmetic pack that they sell inside the shop on battle.net, I will talk about, just for you guys to know. I'm not trying to, I'm not a spokesperson for Blizzard. I'm not trying to sell it for them. I just want to let you guys know about what they're trying to sell you, and also if there's any controversy behind it. So the Emerald Inferno is a mount, armor, and headpiece extension by Typhelloff. Gee whiz. And it is around 30 USD. Now, I don't know your local currency, so definitely convert it, obviously. Now, again, this pack is now available up until, I believe, July or June. And again, this is a neat looking pack. You get a nice looking mount, you get a full armor set, and you get a headpiece for about $30. Is there any controversy around this? Obviously, some people just don't like them selling us anything because people don't like it, but honestly, there's no power tied to this. There's tender tied to this. It's just a mount, armor, and a headpiece. No power can be acquired from this. I think it's cool. Again, I have no problem with cosmetic items that don't tie into power. I don't like the trader's tenders being on the shop, but anyway, that's beside the point. But this pack is pretty cool. Again, definitely check it out if you're interested in this type of stuff. But again, it's $30 USD. It is now available if you want to check it out on the shop. And yeah, I mean, again, some people already got it. Some people won't get it. It's up to you if you want to get it. Oh, we're yapping. All right, guys, guess what? We're talking about the renown system inside the raid. And now we're on rank 13. Now, obviously, rank 13 came out last week. Technically, rank 14 comes out today, but I like to cover the past week. Now, 13 is an unlucky number in some cultures, but this week we are definitely not unlucky with it, because the big prize for rank 13 of the renown system, which, by the way, you get inside the raid by killing the bosses and the lieutenants every week, you get one rank. You get another 3% buff to both damage and healing done inside the raid, which brings our total up to 12% Okay, so we're getting to the end of it, right? I believe the last number we're probably going to get is around 18%, right? So 18%, but 12% is pretty good. Again, this number is supposed to just passively give us more power inside of the raid. We've seen this before inside of, Ashkahet, right? That raid there with the Spider Queen. And again, now we're at 12%. Now, if you're far behind, don't worry. There is a catch-up mechanic. You can go and just kill the bosses. Again, also, if you can't make the raid on Saturdays, we do a full clear, right? But if you can't make it or make it only for certain bosses, definitely just do a full clear real quick, again, just to get all that experience. Now, obviously, when this video goes live, we're going to be on rank 14, but I like to cover the past event, and obviously, I don't like to mention the one that comes out today because some people like to discover that on their own. Obviously, if you want to change that up, let me know for sure. But again, that damage buff is going to buff, can't even speak, is going to increase our just damage and healing done over time, which will help us on some bosses. Remember, right now the Spotters is currently going through heroic. We're stuck on the second boss. We didn't really put too much work into it, but more damage per player is going to help, and more healing per player is going to help a lot too, because we can progress a little bit further, see some more mechanics, right, and progress more in the raid. So again, definitely get this. This is super important. Now, most of the time it's cosmetic items, but there are some very important ones, like the one that was just released last week. So definitely get it. Again, I yap about this every week, but it's a fun thing to yap about, and I love yapping. So hopefully you get the 12%, because next week's probably going to be more just cosmetics, obviously. There's no back-to-back power. Alright guys, you know how I said earlier in the video that I had to talk about horrific visions again and some time gating issues. And I'm going to talk about that now, because this is actually the last article. Again, not a big week for WoW articles, but again, you can't have big weeks all the time. But eventually, once we start hearing about 11.2, I will be yapping a lot. So get ready for that. That's bound to happen probably in the next month, right? So hold, right? Again, it might be a couple episodes from now, but it's definitely going to happen eventually. And especially when we get more midnight information. Again, we're going to yap a lot sometimes, right? But this week's a medium yap. Again, Horrific Visions came out, obviously you saw in the video, but there was restrictions, right? We saw the cosmetic restrictions go away, but the power restrictions are still here. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, obviously, every week you can go through and get some mementos, which is the currency, and you can spend it on upgrades for your basically your horrific visions. More sanity, less sanity drain, you do more damage, right? But you can only do 3 or 4 upgrades per week, and the tree is around like 12 upgrades. And also too, we also have that helmet enchant. Now you have lesser and greater. Now again, there is best in slot guys, check it out if you want. Again, it gives you damage. It's around 3% of your damage, which they did increase, so it is a pretty penny. Again, another increase in damage is definitely needed in some encounters, right? You can only get the lesser one for right now, because the quest is time gated. Now, I'm all fine with everything in 11.1.5 being stagnated, because again, all that content once would be pretty overwhelming. Some people disagree with me, but that's okay. But when the content comes out, like Horrific Visions, everything should be available now, right? Time gated stuff is just kind of boring. I want to progress as much as I want to. If I want to put like 6 hours into Horrific Visions the first week and get the greater helm enchant, I should be able to do that. That's my decision. And again, if you only have 1 hour to play every day, then you won't have it until later in the week. Again, just let me have fun doing what I want to do. If I want to go fast, I should go fast. If I want to go slow, I should have the option to go slow. And it's my fault if I run out of content really fast, right? And maybe it's Blizzard just time gating is usually used to like basically take a lot of little content and extend it over a long period of time. Look at Siren Isle. There's not much content there. It was a fun zone, a fun little patch, but to do that all in 6 weeks, it could have been done within probably 1 to 2. So again, that's how they extend content. I can see why they do it for retention, but for players that are just restricted, it just feels nuts. So I'm hoping that they do get rid of this restriction. Now, obviously, this is, as the time of this recording, that restriction is still here, but things could change until Tuesday. Again, this is why I report the news. This is the weekly episode, obviously, but I have daily episodes on my channel if you want to check that out. Again, that's a little bit more accurate news. Again, this is more accurate. I would say 99% accurate, but sometimes news does shift over time between when I record this and when this gets live. So again, I will make a comment in the comment section below if something does change, just so you guys are fully aware of that. But yeah, there's that restriction. It kind of is lame. Again, I'm not a big fan of it at all, so I'm hoping it goes away, but Blizzard hasn't budged all week, so I doubt they're going to budge. because they budge for the cosmetics, but cosmetics has no real tie into power anyway, so we'll see. All right, guys, that's all the articles I have for this week. Again, a medium week, about 5 articles, mostly about horrific visions, honestly. But again, I really appreciate you guys watching this. And again, if you have any suggestions for any of the content here on the page, or if I missed an article that you thought was really important, definitely let me know, and I'll add it into the weekly episode next week. Now, obviously, we're at this location again, a little bit different vantage point, just for you to get a good grasp on it. Again, let me know in the comments where you think this place is. Again, be as detailed as you can, and then the first person or the person with the most detail, I haven't decided which one I would really want to go with, gives me an answer, then I will definitely shout you out. If you're doing any sort of content, it could be WoW related or anything related, or if you just want a shout out in general, who knows, right? Now, again, I am an optimized fool. I do a lot of World of Warcraft content. I do some daily videos on my X page and my YouTube page, so definitely check me out if you want daily videos. Again, sometimes I go take topics I talk about here and I go into more details, around 5 to 6 minutes per topic, right? So definitely check it out too. And again, I would really appreciate the Spot'em gang letting me have this outlet to talk about WoW, because I know you guys enjoy it, and I'm always looking forward to expanding the show here. So again, Unoptimized Fool, I'll see you guys later.